Good evening and welcome. Tonight I thought that we would continue our read through of this magazine called Atlas of the Ancient World. And for this magazine, what I do is that I do not read any of this in advance. We're going to read it together. So it might be a little off the cuff, it might be a little silly, I'll make mistakes, It's our first time together, is how we do this. So without further ado, let's go to the little chapter that we'll read tonight, which is about the Babylonians and Assyrians, the cradle of culture. And my cat was climbing up my desk before I was filming this, and he knocked over my brushes, my paint brushes. He loves brushes. He loves to bite bristles. And I thought, you know what? It's not a bad pointer, isn't it? A little paintbrush there. Plus, we might be able to paint the Ishtar gate here. It's kind of nice. All right, let me adjust my mic real quick. There we go. Okay. Babylonians and Assyrians. You can see the hanging garden. It says, ancient Babylon knew 2 times of glory. Knew 2 times, I see, like ages. 2 times of glory. A 200-year period from roughly 1790 to 1590 BCE, initiated by Hammurabi, and a resurgence of less than a century from 612 to 539 BCE. The new era arose under Nebuchadnezzar II, who rebuilt the city and sponsored its famous Hanging Gardens and Ishtar Gate. A series of conquests by Babylon's neighbors occurred between the 2 eras, including the powerful and militaristic Assyrians. So the Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. I don't know if it's going to talk more about it in this article because I haven't read it. But it's possible that these never actually existed because there is only like 1 eyewitness account of it, and who knows how trustworthy that is, and there's no evidence of it ever existing. But it's a neat concept, isn't it? Like a big terraced garden. And then here's the Ishtar Gate. This is the very famous reconstruction. I believe it's in Berlin, Germany, right? Yeah. The real one is long gone. I believe they've reconstructed one at the archaeological site in Babylon. But this is as close as we could get to the real thing. I think it's made out of pieces of the original. I'm not sure. But yeah, the Ishtar Gate. And again, I don't know if they're going to talk about it, so maybe we'll come back and talk more about it. But we're going to talk about Hammurabi's Code next. I'll tell you more about Hammurabi's Code after. Let's see, Hammurabi's Code. Greater than any of his conquests was the legacy King Hammurabi of Babylon left in the legal code that bears his name. Consisting of 282 separate laws compiled around 1790 BCE, the code was based on Sumerian legal precedents. Most of the laws consisted of a single sentence and stipulated punishments for crimes, established rules for business dealings, and even covered judicial misconduct, stating that an erring judge would have to pay 12 times the amount of any fine he had imposed and would be removed from office. The most complete version of the code was found in Babylon, etched into a stone stela more than 7 feet tall. Other copies were rendered on baked clay tablets. The language, inscribed in cuneiform, was the Akkadian spoken in the streets. And yes, it includes its law. If a man put out the eye of another man, his eye shall be put out. Basically, an eye for an eye. So in 6th grade, which was when I was 11/12. We studied ancient civilizations, and mostly we focused on ancient Egypt and ancient Greece, but we did a bit of Babylon. And we were each given a task. It was something that my middle school teachers really liked to do. They all collaborated. I would learn in the next year on ideas together. And one of them was to give everyone in the class a random topic, and then each person goes up in front of the class and presents like a 5-minute thing about that topic. I've told this story before, but it's been a while. I've had a lot of new subscribers since then. And in 6th grade, I got Hammurabi's Code. And my poor little self was very frustrated because all I could really find about it was that it was a set of laws by Hammurabi, and it included an eye for an eye. That's where that phrase comes from, essentially. And I couldn't really find enough to give like a good long presentation, and I was very flustered and very distraught and very angry at Hammurabi for this. Personally, I was angry at him specifically because I felt this was his fault. But I kind of waffled through the presentation and talked about things that were slightly related just to run out the clock. And I was very flustered about it, and always really kind of upset by it. And then when I was 17, I went to the Louvre and I spotted this big rock from afar and went, I know that rock. I know you. And I went over all excited, and I was like, it's Hammurabi's Code. And it was a really weird moment to see the thing that I had researched, like the actual thing. Like, I don't know, it made history feel so real for that moment, because like this was it, you know, this. It was wild. But I don't know. I feel like at that moment I forgave Hammurabi personally for the torment he put me through. But yeah. Anyway, let's see what this says. I think this talks about the map over here. Let's find out. It says Babylon and its neighbors. As a nation, Babylonia rose and fell and rose again over the centuries. The fertile land, with its rich harvests and wealthy cities, offered an irresistible target for warlike peoples from surrounding areas, including the Hittites and the Assyrians to the north. Indeed, in the 7th century BCE, the militaristic Assyrians controlled lands from the Mediterranean to the Zagros Mountains and sacked the old city of Babylon itself. All right, let's look at this map. So, in this kind of tan color, we have the Babylonian Empire of Hammurabi, circa 1792 to 1750 BCE. That's all of this here. It has a Persian Gulf coast. You can see Uruk and Nippur and Sippar. Of course, Babylon there, and all the way out to Mari, along the Euphrates River there. There's Sumer. It's Hammurabi's Empire of Babylon. The Hittite Empire of, that's a name, Supiluliuma the First. Ooh. It was 1344 to 1322 BCE. It's in this light green color here, which is all up here throughout Anatolia. And down into the Levant, into the Syria, just down there into Lebanon, you can see Byblos there. Along the coast here of the Mediterranean. And looks like we've got Hattusha up here. We've got Adana. We've got, I guess, ancient Syria, ancient Kumuku. Goodness, all of this here. Tarsus right there. Aleppo. Moving Next square here says the Assyrian Empire at greatest extent, circa 680 to 627 BCE, and it's in this teal outline. So let's see that. The Assyrian Empire stretched all the way this way, through the mountains around Urartu, through the Zagros here, along the Persian Gulf, getting Sumer to Babylon, across the desert, taking over the entire Levant here, down into Egypt, around Thebes, then up past Memphis, the entire Nile Delta, all along the Levant there. All of this here, painted all in. Painted all in. Pretty big empire. And of course, here's Assyria up here along the Tigris. You can see Nineveh and Ashur. And next we have the Neo-Babylonian Empire of Nebuchadnezzar II from 604 to 562 BCE. And that's all in a red outline. So he would have conquered all of this area here. Down on this side of the Zagros, looks like. Along here, across the desert. All of this area in the desert, including Petra, Time there, along the Red Sea. Just missing the Sinai here, cutting off Egypt, and all of the Levant. Well, very famously, as he conquered the Levant, he sacked Israel and Judah here, taking the Jewish population captive as slaves. As I peeked down here, it says the area of Jewish resettlement by Nebuchadnezzar II from 597 to 581 BCE is this like lined area, which looks like it's right here. So that was where they were forced to resettle there at Babylon to live as slaves. And they would eventually be freed by Cyrus the Great of Persia, over here on this side of the mountains. Susa was one of their capitals eventually. And the Jewish people there, many would go back, many would travel to other parts, some would stay, some would go this way, some would go that way, and some would go that way. Hence the 12 tribes, right? The 12 groups splitting out. But it was from this area there. The Hittite campaigns are shown by green arrows. So you can see them going from Hattusha. It's the Hittites. Hattusha makes sense. So let me see this first one. Let's see, this is 1275 BCE going down. You can see the little battles there at Hamath and Katna. And it looks like here at Karkar. And this one was 1585 BCE, right? 15, that's really a stretch. It says 15, okay. 1595 BCE, all the way down to Babylon. Looks like there's a battle here at Carchemish, 605. I see, that can't be right. 605 BCE. That says 1595. And this one says 1360. Okay. They spent a long time conquering, I suppose. I'm confused, but that's that there. 1360 BCE. Okay. Doesn't really... Well, I guess it does. The Hittite Empire is 1344 to 1322. This says, I am reading that right. 1595. That's what it says. I can't deny. Okay. That's like... Okay, I guess so. Yeah, I guess that lines up. It just seems like a long time that they attacked down here. Goodness. Many times throughout many years, huh? And then, of course, the regular dotted lines are present day coastlines or rivers, because the Tigris and Euphrates have changed so much that this is now filled in with land. These are the rivers now. This is now the coast of the Persian Gulf. I'm guessing that's what that means. Yeah, because Ur used to be on the coast. Now it's not. Interesting, isn't it? What a weird little map. It's alright. I'm sure if I had looked at it beforehand, I could decipher it a little easier, but I didn't, did I? Let's talk about Gilgamesh. It says, left behind, Epic of Gilgamesh. Let me slide it a little closer here. Okay, there we go. The Mesopotamian saga of Gilgamesh is considered by many to be the first great work of literature. Written in Akkadian on tablets sometime around 2000 BCE and recovered in fragments in ancient Nineveh and elsewhere. It tells the story of Gilgamesh, king of Uruk, part human and part divine. And it says that the statue over here, which is from the palace of Sargon II, may depict him. After Gilgamesh's wild man friend Enkidu, what a strange... After Gilgamesh's wild man friend Enkidu is killed. Tag yourself if you're the wild man friend of your group. The hero realizes for the first time that death exists. How can I rest? How can I be at peace? Despair's in my heart. His journey to find a cure for death eventually fails, and Gilgamesh understands that he cannot escape that fate. Even after 4,000 years, scholars continue to discover new text for this ancient epic, most recently in 2011, in fragments that came to light after looters ransacked ancient sites in war-torn Iraq. Look at this picture here. He is grabbing this lion by the throat. It's not how you should hold animals. He's got his paw right there, kind of by the neck. The lion's like, maybe don't do that. Neatly combed mane as well. Here's a quote from the first tablet of the Epic of Gilgamesh. It says, "Take and read out from the lapis lazuli tablet how Gilgamesh went through every hardship." It's his neat beard. Braided. Abrupt right there. Gilgamesh. We think that is at least. Over here we have a tablet that I assume shows part of the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? In Akkadian, it said. Pretty cool. Yeah, I've toyed with the idea once upon a time of reading the Epic of Gilgamesh for you guys on my channel, but it's like every translation is so different, I don't know which one to do. They're all completely different. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we read some Gilgamesh at some point? I don't know. It's a thought. Let's look at this map. I think this is the last page. Yes. We'll read the next part later. It says, ancient crossroads. Trade could enrich a small kingdom, but those riches also made cities into targets for their more powerful neighbors. Trade routes linking civilizations, which are shaded apparently, across the ancient Near East converged at the walled city of Khotna, which thrived from the late 18th century BCE, but clashed with Hittites, Egyptians, and the Hurrians of Mitanni before being destroyed by the Hittite king, there he is again, Suppiluliuma I, around 1340 BCE. I've never heard of this man before. Suppiluliuma I. Alright, let's see what we've got here. Looks like we've shaded in these areas. The Hittites here. There's Hattusis. And the invasions that we read about on the last page. There's the Mitanni kingdom. Here's Assyria at Nineveh and Babylon. And here's the Egyptians all up the Nile. There's Memphis. It's all up there. It says Egyptian invasions up to Kadesh and all that. So let's see these trades. We can see gold and ivory from Africa coming up the Nile, up to the Red Sea. Copper, heading up here. There's copper there on Cyprus. Trading out to the Greek islands. Gold, heading up this way across Anatolia. And more copper heading up. And tin up into the Balkans. There's silver heading over to Nineveh. And tin and copper heading up into the Caucasus. They're up in Georgia. And over here it says frankincense and myrrh from Arabia. Oh, that's heading down. But it says from Arabia. Okay. They probably traded this way too, but okay. We have textiles here in Mesopotamia. And what's over here? Pearls and shells from the Persian Gulf. Pearls from Persia. We've got carnelian and turquoise from the Indus River Valley. And lapis lazuli from Afghanistan. All these trades. And then there's Katna right here in the middle of all these trade links. Spreading all of these goods all across this part of the world and beyond to Pakistan and Afghanistan today. Down to Yemen, down that way. Interesting. You can see Bhutan right there. Sending all the pearls up. Very cool. I like this map better. This was much easier to read. You can see where all the trades went through each area. Alright, so that's it for tonight. I really liked having this brush. What do you guys think? I think it adds a little bit more, doesn't it? I can paint the Mitanni Kingdom. Paint the Assyrians. Babylon. I like it. Paint Egypt here along the Nile Delta. And their invasion of the Levant. It says timber right there. Of course, timber from Babylon. Not Babylon, from Lebanon. Very famous Lebanese timber. And timber up here as well. Alright, well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. We didn't talk about the Ishtar Gate. It was the gate outside Babylon. One of the many main gates to enter Babylon. It's beautiful. That's that lapis lazuli from Afghanistan. This beautiful blue. But anyway, I hope that you have a good